Good evening, everyone. This is the Thursday, August 8th, 2019 Town of Monroe Planning Board Workshop Meeting. Noreen, if you would do a roll call for who's present.
Anthony DeCaro.
Here.
Lisa McQuaid.
Here.
Bonnie Branson.
Here.
James McKnight.
Here.
Jason Sorinsky.
Here.
Jeff Manson is absent. John Allegro.
Here.
Thank you.
And with that, we have a quorum and we can conduct business. I'd like to point out the fire exits. There are two in front of me. One, the main entrance that you came in from, another by the kitchen, and then there's a third over here to my left behind the planning board members. With that, let's please all stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, everyone, welcome. First item on the agenda is a new project, the Berkhold subdivision. If you would come on up. Good evening. And just state your names for the record when you're ready.
There are microphones, right? Yes. My name is Cliff Birchgold.
And Joe Fowl with Peters Eck and Fowl. Good evening, everyone. This is a two-lot subdivision which we are presenting this evening. Mr. Birchgold would like to make a little presentation. Families lived in the area for some generations. What I'd like to do is just quickly, we submitted two plans to you. One was basically a plan that showed a 3-acre lot, and the other one a 2-acre lot. And just to let you know, the 2-acre lot is our preferred subdivision plan. This isn't a 3-acre zone. What it is, it's two existing dwellings, and what we're trying to do is we're trying to subdivide the smaller dwelling off on a 2-acre lot, and the larger dwelling is going to be on the remaining lands. Each of the lots has an existing barn on it as well. What would happen in our preferred layout is there would be a single driveway just the way it is right now, and that would show up on proposed lot number 2. As it is in a 3-acre zone, I think the planning board would be concerned about what any potential future development of the remaining lands. Even with this 2-acre layout, basically you're going to end up with 13.7 acres as the remaining lot. So even in a 3-acre zone, the most you could get out of this lot would be 4 lots, no different than if we had the 3-acre zone. Another thing, if you've gone out to this site before, it's a gorgeous piece of property. I've been out there, and we encourage you to go visit the lot. It's a large, mostly lawn area. There's some wooded area up front, but for the most part, it's completely lawn. And they really do not want to, this extra land that will go with proposed lot 2 really doesn't make any sense when you go out there, because when you look at it physically, this land really does belong with the large house, you know, with the, everything that is around the pond area. It would require an easement, a driveway easement, although the lot does have frontage on Circle Drive. So what we would need, in any event, we would need variances. In our preferred plan, which is this plan, we would need a variance for lot area and also rear yard, because what we're trying to do is we're trying to put this lot line in between the existing barn and the smaller dwelling. And if you go out there, it makes sense that this existing barn should absolutely go with the larger dwelling in the rear. And there, as I said earlier, there is this smaller barn that goes with the smaller of the two houses. And I think you want to just talk a little bit about
Sure.
what your intentions
It's
are.
okay with the board to take about 3 to 5 minutes and just give you like an overview of who we are, what our property is like a little bit, and you are very welcome and encouraged to come and look at it. Okay, sorry. So, as I say, I'm Cliff Birchgold. I'm here with my wife Marcy, who's back over yonder. Also, our daughter Bethany and her husband Ron live next door. We live at 84 Circle Drive in the Harriman Heights area, and it's a property that we call Still Pond. My mom came up with that name years ago. I've lived there for 60 years, having moved up from Greenwood Lake in 1959. And Marcy is actually a rare Monroe native, but she's lived there since marrying me 44 years ago. Next door on the property is the home of our daughter Bethany, her husband Ron, and their daughter Olivia. Olivia was born there, is the fourth generation of our family there. Oh, and by the way, I've written this down, and with your permission, I'll give you copies of it right afterwards so you don't have to take any notes.
Thank you.
In 1959, a little bit about our property, the local builder Jim Ludlam Sr. was in the early stages of his developing the former Charles Post Farm. The Circle Drive development would eventually have about 20 homes. Most of these are on 1 acre lots, plus or minus. However, Mr. Ludlam found that part of the Post Farm was too wet to support septic systems on normal lots. So for that reason, he and his contractor Warren Angel bulldozed a pond in the wetland and created one 16-acre lot out of the end of Circle Drive. That summer, Mom and Dad bought that lot, built our original house overlooking the pond. In 1960, they added a small red barn for grounds equipment. In 1964, they built a caretaker cottage across the stream from the red barn. In 1988, we constructed a pole barn to the north of the smaller house. These 4 structures, all built with town approval, exist today. These are our plans now. I retired in 2012 after serving as Director of Transportation in Monroe Woodbury for 35 years. Marcy's mom, Sarah Dodd, had been confined to Atlantic Goshen, a nursing home, since 2000. Mentally, she was fine, and we, mostly Marcy, enjoy visiting and assisting her on a daily basis since then. Sarah passed away in 2018 at the age of 103. We considered my job and Marcy's mom as strong ties that bound us to Monroe. But now Marcy and I would like to move to the Albany area to be near our younger daughter and our 3 grandchildren there. In addition, while we've loved maintaining the fields and forests of Still Pond, as we've gotten older, the groundskeeping chores have become more difficult. On the other hand, it's important to Bethany and her family that they stay here. Over the decades, they've felt the bond with Still Pond grow stronger. Olivia is still in school, going into 10th grade. And finally, Bethany and Ron have an established massage therapy practice in Monroe. So our solution for our family is to separate the Newtown house and the pole barn, the one closer to them, along with a few acres from the main parcel before we offer it for sale. It would be ideal for them to retain a roughly rectangular lot of about 2 acres, leaving about 14 acres on the fields and the red barn with the main house. We believe it makes sense to leave 1 barn on each property. So there are possible challenges. We plan to work cooperatively with the planning board and, where needed, the zoning board of appeals. We welcome town guidance to help thread our way through the path to our goal. When and if we get there, we believe the end result will not change the current situation for our neighbors or for the town as a whole. There would be no new building, no change to the environment, no change in town services required. There would be, after 60 years, just a different name on 1 mailbox. Initially, we see 3 areas where we could use guidance, and I think Joe has briefly mentioned these, but I'll give more detail. The 2+ acres proposed for the Mutone property would be similar to or larger than most of our neighbor lots on Circle Drive, which are zoned RR1. However, since a 2017 change, our entire property has been rezoned OSR3. If our proposed Lot 2 could be granted some type of variance to match the zoning of all of our Circle Drive neighbors, we believe that would be fair and in keeping with the spirit of the neighborhood. The main house and the red barn, with its 12 acres plus or minus, would easily meet the requirements of OSR3. In fact, that open space type zoning might help protect the ecosystems of this land in the future, and we like that. Side yard or rear yard. When the red barn was built in 1960 and the caretaker dwelling in 1964, both were approved under building regulations then in effect. Now, under current zoning regulations, the proposed Lot 2 would need a variance for the yard distance between the house and the red barn. And number 3 is the driveway. A sharing arrangement with legally binding language would be needed for a portion of the driveway. This would continue the current sharing reality, which has worked smoothly since 1964. Coming in from Circle Drive, the driveway would be shared until near the spillway culvert. This shared portion would be about 450 feet, roughly 1/3 the length of the entire driveway. And that is it, and I'm open for questions. Should I hand these out first, or?
You can provide them to our,
And it should
Secretary
be noted
Chicken.
that there's no proposed improvements as part of this. There's no proposed
Thank you.
improvements as part of this plan. Everything's existing. Each lot has its own individual well and its own individual septic system.
so, I'm actually gonna let our consultants offer their comments first, but just a quick, I guess, comment. So this is in the OSR 3 zoning district.
Correct.
But you provided two maps, one of which has the RR1 bulk requirements on it. Was the intent to rezone the property, or
no.
just to show a complying lot that would meet RR1?
Exactly, that was the intent.
Okay.
We're not proposing any zone change. Yeah, I did see that was probably a little confusing. The purpose of that was to show that I believe that this property was zoned RR1 until a couple of years ago. And the neighboring lots, if you look at the neighborhood, they're all in about the 1 and 1.5 acre size. So when we do submit the plan to the zoning board, if we are allowed to go to the zoning board, it'll show the 3 acre zoning bulk requirements and the variances that we require.
And it's the applicant's desire to have a smaller lot?
That's correct.
Okay.
That's correct.
As far as
Because
your
if you look at
preferences?
the 3 acre zone, there would be a lot of acreage on the southerly side of that existing driveway, which if you go out there and you look at it, it really belongs with the large house.
Should I point it out on the diagram?
Yeah, sure.
I know it probably even better than Joe. So, our house sits in here. Oops.
Sorry, that was me.
No, that's good, you have the property line on
Our
there.
house sits in here. Bethany and Ron's house sits here. The driveway comes in from Circle Drive this way. It's kind of north is on here.
Right.
And so, when you are at the main house looking out, our proposal is that everything you see, this field, and all these woods would go with the main house. Plus, the woods behind the main house, I call the main house, they would have, from between the red barn, which is this black roof here, they would have straight back from the line, I guess, and down along the driveway, they'd have a rectangular chunk of 2-point-something acres in here, and then this would be like a little less than 14 acres would be over here. It seems to make more sense to us than to have a sort of a strange little piece of this field and a chunk of this woods, and then a big funny-looking chunk of this woods and everything going into the little house for no particular reason, that they can't use it, it's just gonna do more taxes for them. So that's the thought of trying to keep it properly sort of in a logical breakdown.
My one thought with this was, because we have cluster subdivision provisions, that, and it's a question ultimately for our attorney from a procedural perspective, whether, let's say we're working with 6 acres, could we create one lot that has the 1 acre, and that the remainder of the lot would have 5 acres, of which, let's say 3 would be put in a conservation easement? And I'm throwing out there, I don't know that you've thought about it, but ultimately, right now, for 2 lots in that particular zone, you need 3 acres.
Correct.
So if you worked with 6 acres, then that's 6 acres that you need. Could we do some kind of partial cluster subdivision, again, where you put one of the lots, the one that you want to be 1 acre, that would be the 1 acre.
Well, we want it to be 2 acres.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay.
You wanted 2, not,
Yeah, the proposed lot size is 2.26
oh, okay.
acres.
When you did the R1, so it's 2.
Yes.
Okay, so then that would leave 4 acres, right, on the remainder, of which you would include 3 acres in a conservation easement of some kind, and then the 1 acre would be for the house site.
But I think maybe there's a math error here someplace, because the whole property is 16 acres, not 6.
I agree that the 16 wouldn't necessarily be restricted. It would just be to do the cluster for 2 lots. You would be working with 6 acres. You have to set aside 50%, which is 3 acres. So that's why I'm calling it a partial cluster subdivision, because it's not restricting the entirety of the property. And again, I'm throwing this out as just a suggestion and an idea, but if it's something you don't want to pursue, then, you know, you would have to go to the ZBA and see if they would be willing to go to a smaller lot size.
Well, we have to go to the zoning board anyways,
Yeah.
I believe, because of the rear yard setback for the existing smaller house. Just because we gotta have to fit that between the barn and that house. So we have to go to the zoning board in any event.
Okay,
I mean, we haven't really discussed it, but.
Okay.
That you're bringing up is new to me, so. Yeah, sorry. I can't comment, I'll let Joe comment.
right. Well, and I think you, right, this is a workshop, so it's to throw out some, you know, alternative ideas, but with that, then I'll turn it over to Mark and to Ashley to get their comments, and then we'll get the planning board's comments.
Joe, you definitely have me confused as to why you had one plan with R1 and one with
Yep.
OSR3, but now I understand. I do agree, it is OSR3. One other item I checked, just for the record, with our code enforcement officer, Ben Maldonado, is that in fact the two residences on the single lot are in fact legal non-conforming. So his records show it that way. I agree with Joe that the configuration either way requires some variances, area type variances, not only because of setbacks, but also, again, you have two different layouts. Looking at the plan that depicts the correct zoning, you need at least the lot width for lot 2, the way the town defines lot width, and obviously the side yard dimension. So depending on what direction you identify with the board, we'd have to refine any referral to the ZBA based on that layout, and obviously with the OSR 3 zoning. Some comments on observation, I agree with you that the layout of the lot you propose on the 2.2 acre layout is a lot less tortured, I'll use that technical term, compared to the other lot, which you're getting the 3.57 acres. That line has some really strange shapes, and purely for the purpose of adding area, it doesn't seem to provide any benefit to that lot. The other concern I have, just I want to make sure that you identify in whatever plan you ultimately pursue, make sure that the limitations of the pond are accurately depicted, because looking at the aerial and looking at the plan, I don't know that all the wetlands and all the pond area are all identified on the plan, because you got the town's wetland regulations, so you need to make sure that you depict all of that. You mentioned, I think we have two different situations. One where the lot 1, which is the larger lot, is retained its beautiful nature, natural state that it's in now. And you mentioned also the potential for subdivision. The shared driveway is also not conforming to the town's current regulations. Because it exists prior to the adoption of the current street specifications, I believe the board can treat it as existing non-conforming. Since no development is proposed, you wouldn't have to require any improvements. It could stay as is. However, if lot 1, the larger lot, is developed at some time in the future, you may want to have a map note and a condition in the approval that requires that if a road is developed on the larger lot at some time in the future, that road would have to be configured to provide access to the lot 1 residents, so that the shared driveway can be eliminated. Again, that's only if lot 1 was developed. If it's not developed, no harm, no foul, it stays non-conforming and continues. Other than that, I look forward to whatever version you come up with, so we can figure out what you need to go to the ZBA for.
Yeah, to be clear, we do want to go with the 2-acre plan, and, you know, which would, in my estimation, would require a rear yard variance and a lot area variance.
So by going with the 2-acre plan, would it potentially yield more units than if it were developed with the 3 acres?
No.
If you could go over that again?
Yes. What happens is, let me just, with the 3-acre plan, the larger lot would be 12.45 acres, okay? With the plan that we're proposing, that lot would be 13.75 acres. Okay, so in either case, with a 3-acre zoning, just strictly map density, you're looking at 4 lots maximum.
The 3 goes into 12 the same number of times as 3 goes into 13.
Right.
That's what you're saying.
Okay.
The excess land on Lot 2 to the northwest is really unusable for either lot. So it's just kind of a dead corner, as it may be, of the overall parcel.
Wooded, so it's a buffer.
So functionally, I don't think from the development standpoint benefits either lot. It's
Okay.
a great buffer.
Okay. Ashley, did you have comments?
Sure. So I think that Mark touched on pretty much everything I had. There will obviously be variances needed, and I think for this preferred 2-acre plan, since the bulk table on here is incorrect, if you look at the actual bulk for the 3-acre zone, there's a lot more things. I think lot width, front yard, coverage that also don't comply with the 3-acre,
Now the
based on...
Well, I'll calculate the coverage. I believe the coverage is okay.
Okay, I just saw here it says 14.9%, and the code, the 3-acre requires 10%.
Okay, I'll verify that.
There's a few other things, the front yard, side yard, I think you had talked about already, lot width.
I didn't review the RR1 plan only because I knew that it was the wrong zone. But
Yeah, I
if you're
hadn't
gonna go
reviewed it,
that
exactly, I
route,
hadn't,
there's a longer list of variances needed.
I just want to nail this down because I'm still confused. The preferred plan is the one that has the 1, 2, and .27 acre lot, but the bulk table on that is not correct.
That's correct.
Thanks.
Use the plan that has the wrong bulk table, but has the layout they prefer.
also, I think that a portion of the property might be in the ridgeline protection overlay, so that should be noted on the plan as well. And it won't affect anything we're doing here, but just... And I also had a note just to confirm that when you calculated the lot areas, you followed the code, which requires the net acreage after you take out certain environmental constraints.
Yep.
So the first thing, of course, is whichever plan you wish to pursue to go to the zoning board and then get whatever variances are needed for that.
With subdivisions, we can provide comments specifically on subdivision variances, so that's up to the board if you want to comment with regard to them, moving forward. I think we want to make sure everything's shown on this map first correctly before we send them off to the ZBA for variances. In terms of my notes, I have that this is a minor subdivision, and I believe our subdivision regulations just ask that we categorize it as such. I'd like to get a copy of the subdivision plan, which is referenced on this plan, just to make sure there aren't any map notes or other notes that would apply to development of this property, as well as any approval. If we could get copies of the deeds that you reference. And so this is legal non-conforming, so my question does have to do with the driveway, since the one lot is getting access not from the actual frontage, but from a different lot. Does that create a 280A situation? So that's just a question.
No, because there's no, so 280A is triggered when there's going to be a new building permit and a new actual development, and there's actually a provision in the zoning code that allows for access by an easement over an adjacent property.
Okay.
That's in the zoning code. So it will, in the future, if there's going to be future development, of course, but for purposes of this 2-lot subdivision.
Not for this. Okay, good.
And also just a comment on the classification as a minor subdivision. So it will be if there's variances granted, but today, I would say to hold off on that classification, because since it doesn't comply currently with code, it would technically be a major. So if it gets the variances, then it'll be minor.
Okay. Just know that there are standard map notes that have to go on the subdivision plan that are referenced in the zoning. As Ashley mentioned, we determine acreage by minimum lot area. On the larger lot, there are other wetlands on the site, but obviously the site is very large, so I don't think you're going to run into the minimum lot area issue for that particular property, but I think in some way we need to see where those are. This isn't subject to, it's not subject to the cluster regulations if it's a minor subdivision. If it's a major subdivision, that triggers other processes. If you could, if you could show all easements, if there are any. And the one question I had was when I looked at the tax map for this property, there's an area, it's odd, but it's showing this kind of blocked area here. And I don't know if that, let me just zoom in a little, hold on a second. See how it's showing this area in here?
I can explain that.
Was that a-
When Marcy and I first got married, we thought we might subdivide out a 1 or something acre piece right fronting on Circle Drive from my parents' property.
Okay.
And we went as far as getting a map drawn like this, and we got partway through the planning board process, and then I think that was the recession was going on, a bunch of other things were happening, so we had to drop the whole proposal, and it never went beyond the dotted line on the map. So that's not an actual approved subdivision.
Yeah, I don't think they would show that if it wasn't approved, so that's odd to me that it's there on real property maps.
Well, we had one more step.
Check.
Yeah, you can check. One more, they had another step at the very end of the process, had to do with the county. I don't remember it too well because it goes way back to
Yeah, that was filed and then-
1975.
Maybe it was filed and merged?
filed and
But
then merged again.
we didn't do that last step, so perhaps it made it past the town and didn't get approved at the county, or
Yeah,
I'm not sure.
it's definitely showing a 1 and a 2 as if there's another lot, but it's dotted, as you said. So that almost suggests a merger to me, so if we could just look at a little bit of the history of the parcel. You're not showing topographic contours. I don't know that they're necessary since there are no disturbances proposed.
There's no improvements proposed, so I think in this particular case, you could accept the plan without them. Obviously, if any other application comes back before you, it would be expected.
Okay. In general, I think it'd be good just to have a map note that as part of this subdivision, no disturbances proposed. I'd also like a wetland note, which I will provide to you. It's just a standard note that says, by the way, there are wetlands on the site and subject to regulation if they're disturbed. It's a informational for the person who purchases the property. Well test, and looking at the well test regulations, I think for lots up to 1 to 5 lots or so, a well test is required, but we can waive it. And I think the way the language is written is that we have to waive it. So in this instance, there are 2 wells already. You're not proposing any additional development, so, depending on what Ashley thinks we could do such a waiver, I would suggest that we do that, given the nature of this application. Since these are existing dwellings, I don't know if there's a fee in lieu for recreation in this instance, just to check that. We talked about the deeds. There is an easement for the driveway, or there will be an
Also
easement?
be proposed.
It'll be proposed, okay.
So that would be a condition of any approval. It would have to be subject to the board's, to the attorney's
Okay.
approval.
And then I think this would be an unlisted action
Yes,
for seeker purposes?
yes, it would
Okay.
be unlisted, and it would be also subject, it would have to go to both the county and the village of Monroe, because it's on the border there, so they would have to get the public hearing notice.
And we also have to send it out then for GML review. So, those were my comments for the moment, and, once we get through everybody's comments, we'll talk with Ashley as far as process and what we need to see next as far as a map. So, anybody else have additional comments?
Is a public hearing required for a minor subdivision?
Yes, public hearing will be required.
Yes. So I think with these items, if you would come back, clean them up, and then we can send you off to the ZBA.
Sure.
Anybody want to discuss or have a reaction to this concept of the 3 acre versus the 2 acre in terms of the lot and the layout at this point?
Do you want to?
I agree. The 2 acre does make the most sense. Just looking at the character of the social block, the context of all the other blocks as well. The 3 acre is the code compliant one. So it's just really a question of which variance do you want to go for.
And once again, I think if you can find the time to come out there, you're welcome. GPS will get you there. And you'll see kind of on the ground how it makes more sense to do it that way.
Yeah. I mean, to have a complying lot, you need 3 acres, but in this instance, just from a planning perspective and a layout perspective, given the pre-existing nature, that's why you're proposing this.
Correct.
Anybody else have thoughts?
No, just that I agreed with it's not increasing the amount of lots that you could get out of Lot 1, and wouldn't seem to harm another party. So
Yeah.
if this party wants that and it can meet the other requirements, you know.
I think that's pretty key for me, is that, in doing this, they're not getting any additional lots out of the process. I think that the potential existed, then I would be, probably have a different perspective on it. Anthony, you have any?
No, I think
You're
it's
good with
fine
this?
too, so I have no comment.
Okay. With that then, do we want to make any motions? Do we want to do unlisted action? And should we do coordinated or uncoordinated review? I don't know if the ZBA would end up being an involved agency also.
They would if they need to have variances, so I don't know that you need to do that tonight.
Okay.
I think I would say to wait and see then what they, come back with, that way we know exactly what they need from the ZBA, and then could refer it and take any initial seeker steps at that point.
Okay. I'm kind of predisposed to just doing uncoordinated review because of the nature of this application. It's minor, and let the ZBA do its own seeker action, but we'll see what you return with as far as the revisions.
Sounds good to me. What about you, Jim?
Good.
Good.
I did get a chance, if you saw someone wandering around on your property and named Mazda today, that was me.
Oh, good.
It's a beautiful neighborhood, a beautiful piece of property.
Oh, and before I forget, none of you are like the right person in the town to tell this to, but we took down 2 posters for the church barbecue at the Presbyterian Church because on Sunday, they canceled it. But you didn't know that yet, so I just took them down because I don't want the crowds all watering for chicken barbecue.
Okay, so, yeah, as long as there's no disturbances, we're good. I mean, it doesn't involve trees where the CAC would get involved, et cetera, so I think this is fairly straightforward. So when we get a revised plan, we can then think about referring it off to the ZBA.
Quick question. When I do the net area calc, I just thought about this for the 2 acre lot. Do I have to remove the proposed access easement,
It's restricted from development. I think that's the way the code reads.
even if it's proposed?
The minimum lot area, do you have that?
I
up?
know if it's existing, I just didn't know if it was proposed.
Yeah,
I know that the easement exists. As soon as you create the easement and it restricts it from development, I believe it has to be subtracted.
Yeah, I know the environmental features do, and I know we say something about easements
Just
in
references
general.
areas prohibited from development.
Yep, lands encumbered by easements or other restrictions, preventing use of land for construction of buildings, uses, and/or development.
But he's saying the easement doesn't exist yet? Was that your question, Joe?
Yeah, I didn't know if it
But
was.
your plan as proposed would have an
But
easement,
it's
so you would
good,
have to
yeah.
subtract it.
But
Okay.
it wouldn't
Was it
have an impact on your proposal.
Well, the net.
No, I just
area
gotta
is
subtract.
the
It's
site-
just a different calculation.
Yeah.
It's just a little bit larger variance is what it causes. Layouts.
Yeah,
So
so
it's
we'll
good
we'll need
catch.
to see the easement
You don't want
on
to
it.
get hung up on technicalities.
Want to go twice.
Right.
Is there, do we have a standard roadway, Mark, like a private driveway agreement? Do we have any model for that
I
yet?
think I have a form of that.
Okay, okay. And that's
For
just
a
in,
private roadway.
Okay,
It could be adapted if it's only for private road to fit a private drive.
yeah.
We don't have one for shared driveways because we
Yeah.
don't promote them. This is existing, so I'm sure some creativity or something.
Yes. Okay.
Okay.
Anybody from the applicant, do you want to, any comments? Everybody's good?
I'm good. This is all new to us, so it's like.
Oh, would you like to speak into the microphone, please, so that people at home can hear your comment?
We are so anxious to get this started and going. I was wondering, what is the next possible date that we could have this done and bring it back to you so then we can go to ZBA?
It would be our next workshop meeting, which is?
Next workshop meeting is September 12th, and submittal has to be August 29th.
Okay, okay.
And then you have to do, once you leave here, you'd have to go to the ZBA. I don't have the ZBA schedule in front of me. I'm the same person, though. Theirs is is usually the fourth Tuesday of the month. So when you come here on the 12th, you'd already missed their ZBA cutoff.
For the GML referral, can it be done for both actions, or it has to be done separately for the variances and for the subdivision?
It would be separate.
Okay.
And that too, I would wait until
We get the,
a
yep,
revised plan with everything accurate on it.
okay.
But you can start, if you want, you can start, you have the application for ZBA, you can at least start it. And I can give them a heads up it's coming in.
Yeah, and if you want to coordinate with Ashley as far as reviewing the plan and see if there's anything missing as far as the list of variances,
Okay.
we could do that in the interim.
All right, good.
Great. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you for your time. I was
Thank you.
surprised to see so many people. I was led to believe this would be a skeleton crew. All fleshed out.
Oh, not in Monroe.
And I used to be on the zoning board of appeals. I was on that for 6 or 7 years.
Ah,
And I was a town councilman for 10 years, so I spent my time.
There you go.
outside the desk.
Oh,
so you know what's going to be involved with your variances.
That's why I think it's a path we have to follow.
Okay.
Follow.
Thank you so much.
thank you.
Sure thing.
Yeah. Thank you. Good night.
All right. All right. So, agenda items.
So excited, wonderful.
So that's it with new projects. That's the only item on the agenda. So other than that, we will be doing minutes.
I left them at work. on my
Before we
desk.
do minutes, any comments, Ward? You want to offer anything, or?
Only on this one here, and that is, it's one of the best I've seen.
Okay. Okay, great. All right. Ashley, Mark, I don't know if you want to stick around for minutes. You're welcome to, or you can have have an early night.
La-di-da.
All right, guys, we have to go through a series of minutes.
Tonight is everything for next 2 weeks also.
All right, so the first one, I guess, is November 13, 2018.
What do we need for quorum for?
I don't have this in front of me.
Actually, quick question. Ashley, do we have to, if we don't have a quorum of the people present who were at the meeting, then should we be acting on the minutes?
Not unless someone watched the video and knows that that's accurate. It's best to have the people that were actually there.
Okay.
And
How
again,
many-
if you run into a situation, you're not legally required to approve the minutes, so sometimes, board membership changes, so if it's not possible,
Then it
they could
just
just
isn't.
stay how they are.
Okay.
If we have,
I mean,
well, like, if there's
if
4 members,
docs,
like this one had 4 members that are here tonight. Is 4 enough? What's a quorum?
Well, so the issue
Definitely
here
put some in good practice
for
to
November
approve them,
13th
But if for some reason you can't
is
get the right people here,
that
then there's no
Rich and Jeff are not here.
Oh, I don't have to.
And I haven't looked at it. I was absent, and I haven't looked at it, so I can't vote on it. So I think we have to table November 13th.
We would only have,
You were absent, so maybe if you and I look over the minutes.
how many, what's the quorum, 4? Or
4.
4, okay, but there we only have 2 for that one.
Right,
Or
so,
okay.
yeah, I would skip over the November 13th.
Hey, thank you very much, Ashley.
We're good. I just want to ask you that quick question before you head out.
Okay, thank you.
All right, December 18th, 2018. No, did I skip over one? Okay, sorry about that. December 13th. All right, so members present, Anthony, Lisa, myself, James, Jason, so we have 1, 2, 3, so we have a quorum there. I have one comment, correction, which is on the second page at the top. It says, as a side note, Bonnie mentioned that she's a planning consultant for South Blooming Grove. It should say she will recuse herself from anything in regard to this application in South Blooming Grove.
Okay.
So it's clear that I'm recusing myself from South Blooming Grove.
Right, okay, I'll fix that in the morning.
And anybody else have any revisions?
Which date was this again?
This is December 13th.
I don't have December. Can I peek at yours?
Yes, you can. There you go.
Are they online? Did you send it to us? I don't have it.
Yeah, I emailed you again the other day.
Okay, yeah, I remember this.
Anthony, you need them because I may be able to get online and send them to you.
Well, I'm looking at my email now.
Here's December 13th. Just if there's any other
Anybody
changes
else
I
need?
to look at.
Scrolling through email now.
You're
Last
good?
Meeting stuff. Yes, that one I remember well, so. Very helpful here.
All right. I can bring them up. So here's 11:13. Yep, let me know when you want me to scroll down. Scroll down?
I thought we were tabling those.
Over.
Oh, sorry, December 13th?
No, November 13th.
Oh, sorry, November 13th. I thought I opened December 13th. Wrong one. There we go. Scroll down. Ms. Gomez. Just a typo, corner lot. This dwelling has been a single-family home for more than 10 years, so the 10-year requirement can be waived with an I under Gomez Country Court. When you guys are good, let me know.
I have it on up on my screen, so I'm good.
Okay. Anybody else need to look at this on the screen?
Nope, we're good.
You're good?
Mm-hmm.
All right. And this is the area that I suggested a revision. So with that, I will make a motion to approve the minutes of December 13th,
Second? No, sorry.
2018. Second is Anthony?
Yeah.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And any abstentions?
Abstain?
Okay. So we had Jason, Jim, myself, and Anthony, and Lisa, right? One, two.
Lisa's not here.
Oh, Lisa left already, okay, sorry. 1, 2, 3, so that's 4-0. Those minutes are approved. All right, and we didn't do November 13th. Okay, December 18th. So I will bring those up for whoever needs. Oops. Where'd it just go? So here we have Anthony, Lisa's gone, myself, so we can't do this. December 18th, we have to table.
Lisa, come on. Well, if we did them all, then, Jeff would be disappointed perhaps to miss out on these minutes. So,
All right, and then we have April 16th.
11.
April 11th? I have April 16th here.
Yeah, vote.
Oh, I don't have 11th.
That was the first one.
Did we do the March ones last week?
March we're done. These
We
are
did
what's
do
open.
them.
Yeah, when you resent them, there wasn't the April 11th. So you did send the April,
16.
Yeah, so, okay, so we'll do April 11th. I don't have that here.
So we're doing April 11th.
Yes.
What day did I email it?
17th.
The 17th.
And the 17th. Okay. Now, this one. So we have Anthony, myself,
Everybody was here that night.
Lisa and John, wait, the 11th or the 16th?
On the 11th.
Yeah, the 11th, Lisa and John were missing.
Mine 11th, I'm reading the 16th.
You confused me. 1, 2, 3. So we do have 4 that could vote on this. It's interesting because this reminds me, this Lanza Bradley was fronting on Circle Drive.
Yeah, I just saw that too.
Right.
Yeah, they haven't come back.
I would say we don't allow flag lots. The new zoning doesn't permit flag lots, where it says, talks about flag lots under Lanza Bradley.
Okay.
Rica County. It's on Rica, right?
Where are you?
Yeah, bottom.
Yeah, I'm 1 of 3 at the bottom.
It's the same spelling on page 2 of 3 as well.
How do you spell it?
ORECO. Now we really need Jeff.
Where's Jeff?
Yeah, I'll look it up.
I'll get it right. Hold on.
Yeah, I can put this on all the time.
ORECO.
Looks like
I'll change it around. Yeah, I made a note to look it up.
500 feet or 500 inches. That's on page 2 at the top.
At the top?
Right above returning project.
800-foot cul-de-sac, maximum 500 feet.
Yeah, above that like 2 lines above that maximum length, cul-de-sac.
500 feet.
Does it catch those with the spell?
Bill Duball. Right under that, one word. Or just say completed the list from last meeting, as opposed to laundry list for Karina
In-
Gomez.
In 2, where it says, all right, so we had the maximum cul-de-sac length was one issue.
Right.
We had concerns over Lot 10 being buildable was one issue. And then we had sort of an issue of whether that, I'm going to call it the second cul-de-sac,
I think
was approvable, or is that listed in here differently than how I'm...
I think that conversation came up at a different meeting, not this meeting.
Oh, okay, all right,
I
yeah.
don't believe it came up at this
No,
meeting.
it's the next one, I think.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right, I forgot, we're going to read about them
Or
a
it could
couple of
be the
times.
one, the main.
No, we'll
one.
check.
Yeah,
We'll check.
no, I think you're right. I think I remember that one too now.
And Scunnamunk Road subdivision is spelled out Swift, which is in the afternoon. Final Swift, SWP, Stormwater Protection Plan, SWP.
Where is that?
Down on
Page
239
towards the
River.
bottom.
It's kind of
Oh, yeah.
I get what you mean, it's full.
Scunnamunk. And they haven't been back. Right? Okay, Sherry Tora. Is that it? Everybody finished reviewing?
Yeah.
Yes?
Let's,
That's
go
good.
back to top of sheet 2.
Okay.
Right above the frame plus 2 lines, it says review of cluster plan showing 9 lots with a mix of unit styles L.
Oh, that's supposed to be erased. It's erased.
That's all I have.
All right. Would someone make a motion to adopt these minutes?
I'll make that motion.
Anthony, second?
I'll second it.
Jason? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions?
I abstain.
Okay. So 4, 2 are absent, 1 abstention, and those minutes are approved. And now we're on to April 16th?
Yes. And this is a copy for you for 20th. There'll be more emails.
May 9th?
Yeah, for next meeting.
This is for the next meeting?
Yes, it's not tonight.
For 8/20.
Everybody else got it in their packets.
Okay.
You already had your packet.
Okay. So, we definitely have a quorum for April 16th.
Yep.
Where it says no resolution needed, we did no, I would put no written resolution.
Okay.
Under public hearing for Eagle View Estates, all 3 homes serviced by municipal sewer has prior approval, meaning county approval, county sewer district approval? Did they submit a letter from the county sewer, from, I'm under public hearing where it says all 3 homes served by municipal sewer up at the top before you get to open to the public.
Oh, okay.
I'm
I
not-
think those are just the comments that he was explaining.
Okay,
This was David talking.
okay.
So I was just listing his comments as he was going.
Okay, so I'll just put, Mr. Nemeko represents that. As I'm reading these, I don't think some of this information has been submitted yet.
Yeah.
I think where it says, is existing well being used or new well, he has new well was response? But didn't
That
he,
was David said there was gonna be a new well, but I don't,
but they used the existing well, right?
mhm.
Okay. Well, these are the minutes, and this is what he said, so.
Yeah.
Well, I see what you're saying. So it should be being used or new well, right?
Yeah, I
Current
thought
well
that,
or the new well.
yeah, I thought he was going to drill a new well and test that, but instead, I think he used existing well. But again, this is representing what he said at that meeting. I think, just in general, for the open hearing for the Kingsville, I think there are questions being raised, and then he responds. And I think it just needs to say, you know, something to the effect of, let's say, Mr. Allegro asked, is your intent? Or Ms. Franson asked, and then Mr. Wagshall replied.
Okay,
Just so it's clear who's communicating.
okay.
Can we go back to the first page on the Sherry toilet? I don't understand the intent of saying board mentioning master plan again.
It's that we raised the question of whether they have a master plan, or if they're going to develop a master plan. I know that.
Right.
So we should say board,
Rephrase that.
yes.
Requested if they're going to develop a master plan as requested on previous occasions.
Yeah.
Okay, so this board mentioning master plan again, you wanted it to be, I think you brought it up.
Yeah, I brought it up. I said something like the board requested if they will provide a master plan as requested on prior occasions. And if I didn't say that, that's what I meant.
Yeah, these aren't verbatim, but this is.
Well, I'm just
this is
saying
what
that
you
that
said.
is hanging out there
Yeah.
like that. I
Okay,
didn't
no,
understand it at
That's
first.
fine.
Because it could almost suggest that it's like a town master plan. On prior,
Okay.
I just have a general question.
Sure.
In the minutes, and I don't know if it's the way, if this is board docs doing this, or if this is the way this is set up, but we have all the commentary on the open public hearing. And then after that, we have, be it resolved that the planning board of the town of Monroe hereby issues a negative declaration for the purpose of opening the public hearing.
That's how the resolutions come at the end of the meeting.
Okay, so that's the board docs thing,
Yeah, that has
okay,
nothing to do with me.
okay.
Because I thought it was weird, I'm like, well, why would
It's
that
odd
come
that,
in the beginning?
yeah, exactly.
But they place where those come in.
So doesn't, it
I
reads,
thought that, yeah, the same thing. Why did we do that?
It's
But
not
I,
me, I promise. It's
no, I
something
get it,
different.
but maybe they're just,
Fix it.
Maybe I can move it, I'll have to try, I've never tried.
yeah, I mean, I think, because their template's weird to do that, but yeah, you know, but if you can, it's not a huge deal. It's, you know.
I think when you look at board docs, it's like more evident what the intent, you know.
Yeah, I mean, there's no other
Yeah.
way for it to make sense except that we open the meeting, has said this, and then close
Right.
the meeting.
And then when you're looking at board docs, like the resolution shows up underneath
Oh, the way it appears,
in
it
like
makes
bold,
sense.
I think. you know,
Okay,
like,
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
to be resolved things in
Yeah.
hospital. That I have,
Okay.
that's how I typed it, because that's how I was instructed to type it.
Well, did we, this, Bonnie said this earlier, like here where it says Bonnie Rum and Lillian Rohauser, and then Mr. Wagshout, do we want to say they testified that, or said that, or
Yeah.
appeared and stated, or
I think
something like that?
throughout that, and I think as in general going forward, it should be our last names. Ms. Franson, Mr.
Okay?
No, this one's Bonnie, it was the name of the other person.
Right, right, in that
But
instance, yeah.
Yeah, just,
Yep.
well,
Bonnie
but,
Room.
yeah.
I like it because it's giving more detail to read back
trying.
over.
No, it's good, I was
That's
just
what takes so
suggesting.
long.
And
I don't get to just sit and do these.
after Bonnie Room on the second line, it says zoning is residential, don't know regulations regarding shul, S-H-U-L?
Shul. How do you spell a shul? I thought it was S-H-U-L.
Yeah, that's right.
Is it? Okay, yeah, right, I didn't know, okay.
Anybody still reviewing? Let me know
I'm
when
good
you're
with
ready.
this. I'm ready with this one.
I'm ready.
Jason?
I'm good.
John? Okay. All right, will someone make a motion to approve the Tuesday, April 16, 2019 minutes as amended?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
That was Jason?
Yep.
Yes.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? The minutes are approved. And let me just make a note that for those other minutes that we approved, it's with the amendments as
Yes.
amended. So we should note that in our meeting minutes for this, for this meeting. Anything else board members want to bring up?
So I have May 9th.
Oh, we
We're not
do?
doing it, no,
Oh.
May 9th is, the packet I gave you tonight is for tonight's meeting and the 20th. So you need to bring back all your stuff for the 20th.
All right.
So
I
May 9th
finished-
is for the
Right,
20th.
I have to revise the agenda because I forgot to take Kingsville off as well. So the 9th will be on there and probably May, whatever the other May one is, because I'm halfway through that.
Okay.
All right, so we're good.
No.
Are we close?
Well, June, July.
Yeah, we got to
We're getting
find
there.
that. Like, we should really have the month before
I know.
at the meeting. So,
Working on getting them all done.
all right, good.
Great.
So with that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting.
I'll make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
I may I have a second.
Nope.
I'll second.
Okay, we'll be staying here, I guess. All in favor?
Jason made the motion and Mr. McKnight seconded it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? John?
Aye.
Okay. Meeting is adjourned. Good night.